Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flick Show. My name is Chris Wong. I hope you're all having a wonderful weekend so far. One more day in this nice 4-day weekend. My family and I got to go and watch Ralph Breaks the Internet. Although for most of the movie, I would like to call it Vanellope Races the Internet. I don't know, that's just me. It's not as good as the first one in my opinion, but it's a lot of like different aspects of Disney. It was kind of like an infomercial for Disney in a way, and just a conversation about our society, about social media and things like that. So it's kind of cool. It was fun. A lot of talking though. I mean, two kids were getting a little bored in certain aspects. Maybe their attention span is just not there. But I still like the first one better. But it's a good one. You can definitely go out and watch that. So Ralph Breaks the Internet, and he does break the internet, and they're not lying. But this is going to be about DCEU. It's going to be a fun little Saturday. There are a little bit nuggets that I missed. Well, there's only one nugget that I missed, and this is in regards to Birds of Prey. And Margot Robbie put this out on Instagram. It's a picture of the Birds of Prey script by Christina Hodson. And you'd see it's right there, Birds of Prey. But she added something else. She added some cute little stars and stuff like that, and her lipstick. And it says Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Now, when I first saw this, I thought she was just, writing in there just to show that she's in this movie too. But apparently, a lot of media outlets, including I think it was like Hollywood Reporter or Variety or one of those, actually confirmed that that is the title of the film, which is fairly long, but I think it kind of serves Harley Quinn's character's justice, and maybe, no pun intended, and maybe it's her telling the story of Birds of Prey, so maybe it's going to be through her point of view, her weird point of view in a way. So I think it's kind of cool and it's kind of cute. It's a very long title. Of course, Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice was also a long title, and we ended up just calling it Batman versus Superman, or Batman v Superman. So we'll probably just end up calling Birds of Prey instead of Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. But I also want to point out that it's not it's another bird movie also had a long title, and something I totally did not know. But Birdman, the Michael Keaton Birdman, the Alejandro Inarritu film, Birdman was called Birdman, or in parentheses, the unexpected virtue of ignorance. But everyone knew the movie was called Birdman, so I don't think it's a big deal here. It's going to be called Birds of Prey and all the other stuff, but lots of people, including myself, we're probably just going to refer it to Birds of Prey. So not a big deal, and it kind of adds a little bit character to that as well. But speaking of Harley Quinn, she was in that little bit of movie called Suicide Squad that we knew there were so many different changes. But apparently, there has been, and this is kind of old, some of you actually had caught on to this a while back, but there was some concept art that was floating around, and it seems to show what the Enchantress was going to look like, what looks to be like the mother box is in Suicide Squad. There's a boom tube in Suicide Squad. There's parademons in Suicide Squad. There's apparently what appears to be Steppenwolf in Suicide Squad. Like there's even captions on these concept art like "He has arrived." There's a parademon transport, and it's really interesting, very interesting, at what we believe to be at the concept art stage. There's even a king parademon or parademon boss. That's interesting as well. So the thing is, it's blowing up today only because people reached out to David Ayer, and one person in particular is our own Carlos Digital, Bob Diggy at 69, actually tweeted that to David Ayer if this is true. This is actually originally brought up to him by Richard Boulevant at Bully Boulevant, and so David Ayer actually responded. Yeah, he responded and he said, "This is right. Enchantress was under the control of a mother box, and Steppenwolf was prepping an invasion with the boom tube. Had to lose that, then the JL story arcs evolved." And so that's why it's blown up, because he seemingly just confirmed it, that the original Suicide Squad, which we believe right now to be in the concept art stage. I did ask him a question, but he didn't respond. That if it went beyond the concept art stage, did he actually shoot anything? But Stephen Colbert from Screen Rant put out an article that they didn't shoot anything. It was just concept art, as far as he knows, which is fine, because it would have been quite something, though. I mean, there's still people going back and forth like, would that be right to have Steppenwolf and the Parademons there? In fact, David Ayer even continued to say that Steppenwolf was the final boss instead of the Enchantress's brother. So I was like, oh, okay, so that would have been quite different. They do kind of look like big with that horn thing, so it has those similarities to it. And would that been too much like Justice League, if you will? Is that why they changed it up and things like that? A lot of people are saying they would prefer that, have that interconnectivity to Justice League in a way. And for me, I like it either way, but I could totally see how having the Parademons work. Maybe Steppenwolf had, in a way, tricked Enchantress the way he tricked Lex Luthor in getting Doomsday. Well, we interpret that he may have helped Lex Luthor get Doomsday to kill the Kryptonian, the only Kryptonian, and possibly Steppenwolf may have coerced Enchantress in order to help him slowly invade, but they get stopped by Suicide Squad. So maybe he didn't have a pivotal role, although it looks like he did in the concept art and what David Ayer has said. I'd like to note that David Ayer could also be trolling, even though the concept art are actual concept art and actual says Parademons and stuff like that. But he has trolled before, where he said that Joker and Superman fight scene. So but I tend to believe this is truly the early concept art stage. This actually was part of the plan early on. I'm not quite sure, and I don't know if anybody is, maybe Steven is more sure, if this was the plan that was intertwined with Zack Snyder's Justice League, or because Zack Snyder was doing this, they decided to scrap the Steppenwolf and Parademon things in here. I think it would have worked better to show the Parademons instead of whatever the Enchantress thing, those bubbly weird things that she was making the humans turn to, because humans turning into minions is basically Parademon stuff. So if that was already happening, that could have made sense. It could have internet connected together. We didn't really need to see Steppenwolf more like how we've seen Steppenwolf as a vision in like Lex Luthor talking to him. Enchantress could be talking to Steppenwolf like how, I don't know, Darth Vader talked to the Emperor, something like that. And then we realized in Justice League that there was a higher entity other than Steppenwolf, and would be Darkseid. So I could totally see that happening. Of course, hashtag until it wasn't. But in any case, we would still love to see the Ayer cut, the one he was talking about, how Joker was a little bit more pivotal role in the ending. But having seen this stuff too, I wouldn't mind have seen this stuff too, if this was actually going to be part of the in a way connecting up to Justice League in general. But it's all, unfortunately we won't ever get to see that, but at least maybe that Ayer cut, which David Ayer said himself that he had screened, was the better cut of it's different from what we see in the theaters. It was far more had more character drama and things like that. Joker was more involved, things like that. At least, hopefully, we'll get to see that. Speaking of Justice League, we've got a little bit more from John Aaron Garza. He put up another chapter for the periodic table, in this case Mera and Aquaman, showcasing what's reshot, what could have happened, things like that. I'm going to put the link in the description below. I encourage you to check that out. And Zack Snyder actually gifted us on Thanksgiving, thank you sir, this Vero post that shows, it shows the new, more behind the scenes of Justice League, and it's the meeting in the Wayne Aerospace hangar, which turned into the Batcave in the Justice League movie we saw. But this was supposed to be the Wayne Aerospace hangar. We see Cyborg, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, the Flash, and Bruce Wayne, not in Batman suit, in a circular kind of panning shot going around the table as we see in the trailer. Anything you see with pretty much Bruce in his black outfit rather than the white shirt that he had in the reshoot, that is Zack Snyder stuff. When he's in black, that's Zack Snyder shot. And so they reshot that. They probably composited because of scheduling conflicts, so they were not really looking at each other as they're talking. But this is the little behind the scenes of something we never saw. So Zack Snyder said this: a little BTS of how I shot the mother box scene in the Wayne Aerospace hangar. I wanted a constant moving camera, so came up with an 8-camera beam splitter rig. Just cool technical part of the job. And I even question, does this mean he actually never saw it, or is he playing coy? Some say he's playing coy, and the others, like Zack Snyder himself, said he has not seen the final movie. He's just going from what he did, which is sad. But you see in these shots where the camera rigged, it would go around the table, and you see, Wonder Woman or Diana talking to Bruce, and there's a dolly, there's a chair involved, and so this is just a technical aspects of that shot of a scene that we never got to see. And it was all staged out. I mean, look at the intricate way he's shooting this, and they decided to scrap that. I mean, how much different was this from what we got in theaters? We know from what Zack Snyder said that the mother box was still a device to bring back Superman. So that's the same concept story. Maybe they don't tie in the codex anymore. Was that really so important to not utilize that same scene? Or like Stephen Colbert had said, we're just use this instead of Bruce trolling Diana over Steve Trevor, because I guess to the studios, the Wonder Woman was like this huge golden child, and we wanted every chance we could get to connect to Wonder Woman, so we got to throw in that Steve Trevor wherever we could, and that would have worked out better. But I'm completely baffled. Well, not really. I'm still continually being baffled the amount of reshoots. And John Aaron, man, bless that guy. He would, his videos come out, or parts of it. The whole thing came out. He's just releasing parts of that video where he shows the periodic table of how much was reshot, how much was shot, and doing this and that. And it just bums me out a lot. What we could have got, this whole life, this whole timeline that we have now could have been so much different if Warner Brothers had just had a backbone, just had a backbone and says, we're going to be in confidence to our directors, in this case Zack Snyder and even David Ayer, to be proud what they're going to be working to say, yeah, you planned this out. You wrote this out. We're going to continue with that without all these people beating on you. Because ultimately, the DCEU films, all 5 of them, was it 5 of them? Yeah, I think so. Altogether made a lot more money than the first 5 Marvel films. And Stephen Colbert had put it out. this huge article about how the Marvel universe technically just seriously killed the DCU because, and I've talked about this at great lengths, how Warner Bros. Looked at the Marvel movies and wanted to copy that so bad instead of doing their own thing. And so, Zack Snyder had a huge whiteboard. This is coming from Walt at Uber Kryptoni. He dug this up from Empire magazine a while back, and it said this: somewhere deep in the Snyder Cave is a whiteboard upon which the entire DCEU is sketched out, kind of a timeline of what every movie is, says producer Deborah Snyder, who follows her husband into the Empire interrogation, where it is going and where the films fit in relation to each other. Perhaps the most striking thing in the space is a whiteboard big enough to fill an entire wall. It's been mostly wiped clean, but Snyder says it was recently covered with action sequences for the Justice League movie he starts filming in London in April. So this is an old interview. He can raise or lower the whiteboard with a button. But anyway, so that he had something incredibly planned out. He had something that he put together and it worked out. It worked out, but because Warner Brothers, impatient as they are, and maybe even the viewers who watch these movies, impatient as they are, they decide to hate on it before seeing the whole picture. And for a lot of us who appreciate his art, appreciate his movies, we were patient enough to wait until Warner Brothers just messed it up, because they did not have a backbone at all. They did not have a backbone, possibly, post BVS, or maybe even post Man of Steel. And it's sad. It's really sad. And I know there's a lot of changeover at Warner Brothers after the Justice League incident, but I really hope they've grown a pair in order to confidently back, Patty's next film, David F. Sandberg's next film, and in James Wan's film. I hope they didn't really mess that up from what James Wan really wanted in his vision. Ultimately, we do want justice for David Ayer, justice for Zack Snyder, and hopefully that justice will be fulfilled one day with the studios releasing a Snyder Cut. And at the same great length, if they've screened the Ayer Cut, which David Ayer said they did, then they must have the Ayer Cut as well. And for that, I gotta say, hashtag release the Ayer Cut as well. Alright guys, well, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.